Hello there, welcome. This is the Daily Dharma. My name is Deana with Impressive Warrior. Thank you so much for joining, as usual. Today we are starting out with the Tao Te Ching messages to get an overall theme. We'll move into the mixed shamanic decks, the Mystical Shaman and Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. And then we will also pick some Sacred Geometry Activations Oracle cards and perhaps some oracle cards to finish out the reading. The first card popping out is number 65 and 11. The ancient masters didn't try to educate the people, but kindly taught them to not know. When they think that they know the answers, people are difficult to guide. When they know that they don't know, people can find their own way. If you want to learn how to govern, avoid being clever or rich. The simplest pattern is the clearest. Content with an ordinary life, you can show all people the way back to their own true nature. It's very interesting. Everyone during Leo season, at the time of this broadcast, we're in Leo season when the sun is transiting the sign. The sun is nearing the midpoint of the sign, and as it does, we're moving into the Lionsgate portal energies, where there is an energetic, I hate to call it a graduation point, because but it's sort of a level up where people are able to cast away what doesn't serve and make that quantum leap forward through the portal into the next leg of their journey. And this, for many, is a crucial turning point, a dramatic transition or about face of energy, where something that has been a constant is now, that energy is dissipating, and something else is beckoning us to move forward into this new energy. And so during this Leo season, a lot of people want to be in the know. They want to impress upon us their experience, their perspectives, and their knowledge. But instead of impressing people with what we do know, maybe we could impress upon them our urge to always see the world with fresh eyes. Always to be the curious seeker, asking other people about what they know, because we're the humble student always. Even the student that is humble and seeking comes to the teacher and teaches the teacher about the teacher's gifts, about the expanded other that comes to the teacher. And so when people think that they already know, those teachers that cannot learn from the students, those people are difficult to guide, and they have difficulty guiding others. But when people are taught to see things through fresh eyes, or to reconsider the backstory, their subjective truths, when they're able to understand and move back into, for everything that I know, I still don't understand the mysteries of the universe. And for everything that I have gone through and looked at, the manifestation of these things on the material plane, I don't understand how to emerge from that patterning, is something that's a main theme for many people ongoing on their journey into greater consciousness and greater expansion. So when people understand that they don't know, they can often let go of their logic and actually feel the urge of the heart, feel the urge of the impulse, the guidance that's reaching through to teach us to go a new way, or to not fear a way that we haven't taken in the past. And so if we want to learn how to be a leader, a conscious leader, we can avoid being the smartest or the most on the scene or having the most, what do I want to say, the material evidence of whatever we're into. Like for spiritualists, oh, I've got the most herbs, the most gemstones, I've got the most bracelets, I've got the most knowledge, the most activations into various energetic healing modalities, where some people are healers and they don't have the first clue about this spiritual community's ideas about what it takes to be a healer, because none of that knowledge is really necessary. It's all about the simplest pattern is the clearest. So the pattern of happiness or suffering is the simplest pattern of all, is it not? Content with an ordinary life, being simple, being dull and unexciting, and being perhaps seen as naive or below those that find themselves exalted in their self-declared mastery. By being this simple individual, you can show all people the way back to their own true nature. Under the deck, number 20. Oh, this is a long one. You've even dropped the font down a few points. Stop thinking and end your problems. What difference between yes and no? What difference between success and failure? Must you value what others value? Avoid what others avoid? How ridiculous. Other people are excited. Oh, this is incredible. Other people are excited as though they were at a parade. I alone don't care. I alone am expressionless, like an infant before it can smile. Other people have what they need. I alone possess nothing. I alone drift about like someone without a home. I am like an idiot. My mind is so empty. Other people are bright. I alone am dark. Other people are sharper. I alone am dull. Other people have a purpose. I alone don't know. I drift like a wave on the ocean. I blow as aimless as the wind. I am different from ordinary people. I drink from the great mother's breasts. Is it so synchronous that I was already channeling this before I looked at it? This card was talking about the great mystery, whether it's a situation that you're enmeshed within. Thinking that you know the answers, you lead yourself away from the convergence that you are wishing for. But being in the unknowing, also I'm feeling that masculine urge within all of us to direct, to find control, to understand and pin something down so that we can manage it and micromanage it. And the masculine's urge is to solve problems. But maybe there is no problem at all. Maybe if we were in that beginner's mind, we can be like an infant before it knows what happiness and suffering is, just taking everything in from this neutral perspective of non-reactivity. So let's begin there. I don't know if you guys can hear the background music. I absolutely love music and healing music. I believe it's a 6-hour Zen meditation. It's not a channel I follow. It just came up and I decided to put it on, and it's beautiful background noise. I hope you can hear just a little bit. I'll try to pop it in the comments. It would be a great one to put in the background if you're feeling that chaotic energy, heavy energy, questioning, overly analytical, anxiety and depression energy. I'm seeing the flow card here. So what are we dealing with today? I did some pre-shuffle and there were a lot of cards coming out. We'll see if those come back out. But definitely there's transition energy here. Transition and humility have been some of the main messages that are underlying this. And self-love, of course, which is, the seed of the divine within our hearts. And walking away from that is walking away from the inner temple. Seems to be like the prodigal son story. I'm not much of a Bible person, but that story always sticks out. The child who leaves the home of their youth, going out in search of great treasure, great wisdom, something different. And maybe it resonates with me because I come from a small town where everybody thinks that they know you, 1111, and all they know about you is the mask. Or the family background, the socioeconomic, what else would they know? Your popularity or your physicality, the things that you have said or displayed. But is that really truly the heart? And then I couldn't wait to get out of this small little town, and then I did. And guess what happened? I came back. Oh, our best laid plans. Luminous Warrior. I absolutely love that card. And I want to take a peek. I believe this one might be Hummingbird here. No, it's the Blade. And lightning behind that. And Repairing the Veil, Forgiveness, Seer. That one came out on the pre-shuffle. So Luminous Warrior is maybe trying to get back into a place where they're gathering around with others after having, sorry to interrupt that flow, but one of the things that was coming through also with the Tao messages are you might be quite different and have found yourself to be quite different from the beginning. Like the stories that come out from my experience come out for a reason, because that's part of my impression of that situation is bearing now. And it's feeling quite different and separate, and maybe you were a progressive born into a repressed culture. Maybe you are a starseed in a very patterned family, and coming in with such different energy, different thoughts and potentials and curiosities, being that blank slate made others think that you were to be underestimated, and in that your ego felt some type of rejection, redirection, and reconfigured your approaches and your authentic expression out into the world. But and under Luminous Warrior, check this out. Okay, we've got Luminous Warrior here and the Wild Woman card. I'm going to take both of those. I'm sensing we've had some various cards popping out, suggesting many of us are on a romantic journey, whether that's finding that romantic partner or reconnecting to the partner that you already have, or a brand new situation that's emerging. And it doesn't have to be a one-on-one intimate romance. It can be romance with your life. I keep saying this, so I hope that you don't mind me repeating if you've watched some of those other videos. But here I'm seeing two seemingly different individuals that are seeming quite different. Okay, I'm sensing that the feminine is the one in her wilderness, being the revolutionary, and this masculine has worn the cloak of social acceptance and is shedding that skin like a snake with this encountering of the energy of the feminine here. She is a great mystery to the masculine, and the masculine is working to align his solar plexus energy with his crown and third eye he's understanding his motivations, how he's hidden certain aspects from himself and from the world at large, and he's reintegrating his truth and wisdom back into himself here. And the feminine seems to be having this experience on the sidelines, away from the public image, away from the public's peering eyes, where others aren't seeing the process. She's been building her light in private, and I just see her dancing in this forest moonlight here, in the fires of transformation. Yeah, it's a very sensual experience bubbling up within the heart space of the feminine here, where she's encountering her, how do I say this any differently? It's the beauty that isn't, it's not physical beauty, and it's not the personality. We've got this good personality aspect that, oh, well, if you have a great personality, then that must mean that you're not beautiful. But it's the beauty that comes with the way that you move, the way that you are navigating the currents of life, the way that you navigate a situation, coming in with that humility and then taking people quite by surprise and maybe blowing their hair back and pushing them out of their comfort zone and illuminating for them that they've been fighting against the light, perhaps fighting to embody the light, and that they're casting off their resistance. And for them it seems to be like unburdening something that they've been wearing on their shoulders, like this cloak of responsibility, and transforming into a mantle of power, self-empowerment. And for the feminine, it's like shedding the layers of, I want to say clothing, but it's not like she's becoming naked in the public eye. It's the casting off of the many layers of self-judgments and letting that fall away to reveal that beautiful, the peacock beauty came out the other day from the deck, and that's what I'm hearing in my head. It's like, as we allow those things to fall away from our own hiding, like the shell, okay, the crab's shell, letting that fall away and dancing for all to see, dancing right out of that shell, moving out of that confining, constricting approach or energy and moving into something new. It's that, I want to say, moving beyond vulnerability. It's not moving into, because it's not as vulnerable now as having had that shell constricting yourself all the time. So 2 little piles coming out here. Interesting. We've got Unmarked Trail Revelation with Stranger Curiosity. And then we also have the Sweat Lodge and the Beloved, Radical Acceptance. Can we see all these? Let me bring it in. I don't want to turn the camera orange. If I get too close, it seems to do that. Interesting. So I'm sensing that since these fell into different piles, we have, I feel, the feminine and the masculine with these 2 piles. The Stranger Curiosity and Unmarked Trail Revelation here seem to be, the masculine has been maybe drifting, following things as they arise, trying to tackle things and to take on more, and has been, I believe, maybe tied up in energetic knots in a lot of ways, trying to meet everyone's expectations, trying to make their way through this maze, trying to gain such knowledge that they can reach this point of reverence and success in the eyes of the outer world. And this may be somebody who's, I'm seeing these hedges. It's like a labyrinth, but it's a multi-dimensional labyrinth where they've been turning around in the same patterns and living out different aspects of that similar pattern in many different ways. And here we have then this casting off is putting this person into this contemplative mode. Maybe they were pushed back into themselves and had to take this point of contemplation. But in both of these cards, I see that this masculine is staring straight at the viewer here, looking for a sign, really being called forth into this energy. And it's like this, the divine mystery, like they've been walking all around the perimeter of this mystery saying, well, I'm figuring it out. I'm on this path. I figured out this, going out and projecting this to others. Look at all this stuff that I know. Look at all this stuff that I've accomplished and all these things and all these skills that I can pull out and be in the world. And this feminine seemingly is possibly simple, possibly just dancing around, flitting about, seemingly to other individuals. But, okay, looking under the deck here, there's this gathering around the power of community happening under her, and this dances on one foot, balancing act, wailing tree reconciliations. This individual, the feminine, perhaps had a difficult early start or difficulties reaching into the community, where the other was able to adapt, able to make those choices to adapt, even if they had their own sense of independent rebellion. They still were reaching for inclusion, and they were able to meet that, where the other seems to be, had set themselves apart in their energy and had been just a foot in both worlds. But this flitting about energy, we can see here that there were many sacrifices made earlier. They may have identified with being the sacrificial lamb at an early age, being taken for granted, being thrown up on the chopping block because others took them for simple or took them for too humble, not as knowledgeable as they could have seen someone who was walking in their full confident expression of, look at all these things, look at how exciting and dynamic I am, where the feminine seems over here like sacrificing that outer approval for the inner quest. But here comes this divine transition, this about face energy, where there's this herald of change. You may be someone who is very tapped into the pulse of things before they really develop, and having just this impulse to suddenly see, and that dancing on one foot, see how that horse is rearing up. You may be dealing with somebody, or you yourself may be born in the year of the horse, or have a lot of horse energy, which is freedom, sensuality, the ability to carry great loads, majesty and beauty, attraction. That you have freedom and independence, and a bit of skittishness too. But the horse can be domesticated, it can be ridden, and the feminine is riding the horse of her passions, and it's rearing up on those back feet. So this sacrifice, I feel, sacrificing your urge to be seen in all of your grace and beauty, is you're being called out, you're being summoned, perhaps by this masculine who's being summoned by yourself. in trying really hard. The masculine's trying really hard to meet you in the middle, but they don't have context for the mystery. In all of their wisdom and knowledge, they see you. They're perplexed, but they are fascinated. And the feminine is at the beginning of the emergence, and the masculine, I feel, is emerging in a different way, not into society, but emerging into themselves, into the depths in a different way. It's like they're a stranger in your land, and they're highly curious. They're starting to understand that they don't know everything. And perhaps some conversations, the simplest of expressions, has the deepest impact and wisdom upon their patterning. And they're suddenly able to level up after a point of contemplation. And the card directly below the feminine is the corn card, which is like the feminine's labyrinth too. It's a little bit, there's all these little gnome energies in the cornfield here, and it's an interesting mix of I feel that it's magical. It's the elementals dancing through, like the wind that moves through the corn stalks and creates that movement where the corn or the leaves of trees rustle against each other, and it sounds almost like rain tinkling through the environment. And the wind is actually what helps to pollinate the corn, to create the cross-pollination between different plants, different corn stalks, and they need that cross-pollination. But I'm also always reminded of how this is seasonal. It's also all of the things that you can't see through the corn, like being from the rural areas. Deer, white-tailed deer are in our area, and they can jump out from the cornfields at any given moment when you're driving along the path, going the speed limit, obeying all the rules, and all of a sudden there's a deer and you have to slam on the brakes or swerve out of the way. And it's kind of like this thought about approaching the masculine, like he's got this cultivated labyrinth where he's been trimming the hedges, everything's nice and neat. He's tamed his wilderness despite his better judgment from an early age, because it was the path that offered that validation. And the feminine seems to be approaching this corn, and the corn seems like the masculine, this more third dimensional aspect that really has a lot to offer. There's a lot to harvest from this, because it is a food crop. But it's almost like having hit the brakes, having sensed some sort of danger in the cornfield, and stopping short and saying, what's about to come at me out of this corn? It's like having some sense of trepidation before a big wall of corn, because corn can be, at this time of year especially, I was just going by a cornfield recently on foot, and it's taller than myself at this time, not that I'm that tall. But so it's like these hedges, this labyrinth being neatly trimmed, it's almost like, you know, you can even go through and carve yourself a path, but the corn is chaotic. And so maybe take these as you will, but I feel like the feminine energy is, she's sensing the coming mystery as like a bit of chaos, but has a lot to offer if it can be harvested correctly. But the masculine is seeing this as something perhaps to tame and to bring back in. And there's the element of wanting to pin something down, to understand it, to gain knowledge, or to say, tell me what you need, tell me what you expect, and tell me how to solve or resolve this. I want to trim back my leaves. Prune me the way that you need me. And the feminine is like, now let's just dance through this. Let me see who you are. And so through this, she's got this Sweat Lodge card coming out here with radical self. I keep saying radical self-acceptance, but it's radical acceptance. So the message seems to be that she's radically accepting the other, and through the trepidation, wanting that harvest, wanting that corn to be a good experience. But there's something here that is also a reflection of self-acceptance as well. So we're most able to radically accept others when we're in a point of radical self-acceptance, right? And so the Sweat Lodge seems to be maybe her understanding that as wild as she has been, and as tame as he may be, there's this, see this bubble of the Sweat Lodge, and see this bubble in the center here. He wants to come together in the center, and she does as well, but there's a different perspective, a different approach. And I'm seeing her, she's casting a really large shadow. So this may be something that she has avoided, the emergence, coming back into the light that we have with that herald of change. See that sunrise illuminating from behind her, and then you have this portal here where she's either stepping into or stepping out of this energy. To me today, it seems as though she's walking into this new place. And we had that bold step forward, the farther gate, and then we had it followed by the closing door. And I'm feeling that this is her moving through that Lionsgate energy where she's at the point of this radical self-acceptance, and she's accepting where and how this luminous warrior is showing up as well. But she's, as much as she wants to meet, she's going through the gate and she's saying, meet me here. She's like, I feel that both individuals are a heightened consciousness, but having very different ideas about what their personal expression of that is and how it becomes. And there's some sort of integration or compromise that's going on here. We do have the 53 and the 55. I have a few popping out already. Nice. Okay. We have solar plexus chakra. I already called that out on the masculine side. And earth, I feel that that's also the masculine, having been enmeshed more in the third dimensional aspects. And then we have miracle, 33. We have the 32 in the luminous warrior. And we have the 44. So 33 and 44 are both master numbers. Universal love. I'm feeling that the universal love is the Sweat Lodge energy, and she's in this energy of radical acceptance, which is divinity, and she's creating miracles because she's saying, yeah, let's not compromise either one of ourselves. Let's neither one of us feel like there's failure or success at hand here, and let's just engage in the mystery. Let's just dance this out or something. And this energy of just radical acceptance, like I like you just the way you are. However, when these patterns arise, that is not you. Well, I mean, I don't want to give you scripts. I find myself sometimes doing this, but it seems like the masculine is looking for third dimensional solutions and answers, but the divine works in mysterious ways. They're not to be understood. They're meant to inspire shifting and inspire each individual to come together into. So we have this coherence understanding card, and I just said it's not meant to be understood up front. It's not meant to, like in a relationship, do we know if this is going to succeed or fail? And if we did, it would alter the way that we engage now. But if we can just move towards that urge of exploration, the beginner's mind, and just resonance and wanting to be together, or wanting to learn together, or do some type of project together in a community environment, then these individuals they're in the universal love when they're no longer trying to bend and shift the other, and recognize those things that have been uncomfortable within their own energy, that have been creating their misgivings, their faulty perceptions, their angst or frustrations with the other, are stemming from an internal battle that is the coherence comes after we flow with something. It's like, it's not about the disagreement. It's about, well, okay, did I manifest this disagreement because I wanted to manifest separation? I wanted to manifest some time and space temporarily? Or did I manifest this to challenge another to chase me in an ego way? Or did I create this space just to sense and to reflect upon myself? Is this truly the way forward, or is this not? So it's this contemplation phase where we're like, what is it that wants to be cut out of the picture? Is it the situation, the environment, the person, or is it some way of being? It seems to be self-protection. I always see this, well, it's a little bit different from time to time, but right now I'm seeing this as this eye of the dragon, or even like a cat eye as I look at it in the camera. It's like the dragon protecting its hoard, and having acted certain ways because of self-protection. And we talked about that with the feminine in the shell, and we see this with the masculine trimming himself up again and again for the assumptions of what others prefer, those smooth, clean lines that come through. And it's looking like both individuals are recognizing self-protective behaviors and cutting through the illusions to illuminate, to see more clearly. And directly below that is the staff, which is coming into one's own authority and wisdom. And I'm seeing this too as the Hermes, the staff, the caduceus, because you see that twisting element of the staff. And so the caduceus it's like the healing symbol of healing communication having taken place, where the masculine and the feminine are recognizing that common thread and coming together. It's like that Kundalini rising energy, and it's highly twisted at the very base of it, but as it rises up into this empty skull here at the top, there's some hollow space in the center. The space at the center, it seems to be the space at the center of both people's mind. It's both individuals, yeah, we keep talking about making space within themselves. So it's the purging process of the false ego at the base of both individuals taking place, creating space between the space between molecules, the space between masculine and feminine polarities within ourselves, resolving that and creating the space in the center for more universal love to come in. And I'm sensing that the masculine and the feminine are orbiting each other in this way, with this space between, like, what is that saying? It's the space between, that Dave Matthews song always reminds me of, it's not the space between molecules, it's the, I'll come back to it. Something there for it. And then the lightning is directly behind that. It's like creating the space between the partners allows that space to be full of love instead of expectations and misunderstanding. So let's take, well, we're already at 41 minutes here. Let's get some love notes from the universe to simplify this. And sometimes I talk so much in the fifth dimensional about what could be happening in the healing process behind it that I may lose some individuals that are wanting more concrete answers. But I feel that that's what the Tao messages are talking about. Stop thinking about the problem, what difference between yes and no. Don't wait for me to tell you whether something is or is not coming together, because it's not about the end result. It's about the journey, and it's about meeting in the middle and rising above. Both individuals rising their own kundalini, pulling their energy into themselves. Yes, forgive. Okay. Of course, anger can always be justified, but then so can forgiveness. It just depends on how much more you want from the adventure. Go for God's, the universe. Ever wonder what would make life's fleeting pain and sorrow totally and unquestionably worth it? How about living forever, wildly in love and loved wildly? Yeah, rewilding. You have so much to look forward to, the universe. So don't block your blessings by an urge to run around in circles and try to figure out what is the essence of the moment. The essence is always to pursue joy and prepare to be astounded. So something incredible is manifesting in the lives of the viewer and whatever situation this pertains to in your own life. But I'm sensing that the masculine has been really working on his sense of skill, creativity, and relevance, and his practical efforts being rewarded in the world through money, esteem, fame, and approval, and putting those into earthly manifestations of, things that means something has occurred, some kind of evidence of the journey, maybe buying something large that they've always wanted and putting their energy into that, where the feminine seems to be really putting this into trying to work with the universal flow, feeding the cosmos themselves with her energy. 9999. There is an ending coming forward. Low vibe entities and lower attachments. I wasn't at my best. Learning lessons. Grief and depression. Single parent. Young male. Synchronicity, luck, and divine intervention. So I'm sensing that both individuals have had some things to contend with. In anger, if you haven't heard this saying before. It's not a saying, it's a truth. Anger is the mask that covers up sadness and grief more often than not. Anger can be justified by saying, well, you acted in a way that wasn't kind or was harsh or was maybe taking somebody for granted, or thinking somebody was simple and that you were the one that was so smart. Reverse roles as you need to. But there's like this moment of recognition coming through. True North, I feel you are my destiny. Meditation brings solutions. Chakra activation. Be still, integrate, balance, and meditate. There may have been some type of psychic attack here, and it comes out with solar plexus chakra, number 3. So it may have been some type of energy, and psychic attack may be too harsh for some circumstances, but psychic attack can also be a separate individual or environment or situation, like even a job or a boss or a peer, because we also have frenemies under the deck here. Some type of influencer coming through the masculine side, influencing them by their projections, and they don't even need to speak this to the masculine. But let's say that the masculine runs across an old friend or an old flame or an old love interest, and this love interest is still at a point where they're like, oh, well, this might have been a missed opportunity, or what would have happened if, or oh, well, this person's attractive, and they start envisioning and imagining the masculine with them or in a different circumstance, or they start projecting their feelings and start really confusing their own energy. And this energy it's entangled energy, because what has been entangled is quantumly entangled and creates that energy and spooky activity at a distance. And the feminine here, being so in tune with those energies, probably sensed that and retreated into her sweat lodge for self-acceptance, recognizing that something here was not coming from true divine universal love, and stepped back to invite her miracles to come into that next place. It's not a place, the next vibrational way of being. And so this masculine probably has someone who is frenemies with himself or with the feminine, who then projected something in the middle and started influencing his will. And I'm seeing goat, highly protected and favored by the divine. Somebody wasn't feeling worthy, and says build bridges, 888, something's coming back around. There may have been some codependency, possessiveness, jealousy, insecurity, power, or control issues at play. But there's love here, and an overlooked opportunity, walking away from the overlooked opportunity to take this timeline jump, quantum leap. Friend, professional zone, boundaries. Yeah, so, and then I'm seeing some astral travel as well. So even though this individual, whoever, may be coming through and influencing one or both of you, keep your energy protected and know that you are, no matter how weird and spooky that cornfield looks, and even if you cannot see the influences and the influencers that are dancing in the corn, those little creepy elements, the faces, those children of the corn. Somebody may have just wanted to be chased, and they regret that. They're sorry. I'm seeing Sagittarius and Aries under the deck, gaslighting, manipulation, E, F, G, or H. 1111 twin flame, Taurus and Capricorn. I need excuse me, I need best friend, stability, lovers, partners, earth, heart chakra, 2222, and demon slayer, power couple, 7777. So no matter what's at play here, I feel like it's an inner gaslighter and this influencer coming through, trying to get between a soulmate or twin flame situation here. But this person's looking for stability, not all kinds of separate circumstances. They're in their heart chakra about you, wanting this partnership, and they're slaying the demons that it cropped up in their mind or heart, and their need for independence with Aries and Sagittarian energy, their urge for seeking out those unmarked trails. Like, it's like the masculine needed to see something that he didn't want for the long term, to be able to see what was in it over here. And so there's this cutting away of self-protective energies and this making space for this new development to arise. So it looks like you can prepare to be astounded. Do your best to be in that place of grace and forgiveness, because that's where the adventure lies. So yes, where was that last little thing? Yeah, drink from the great mother's breasts. And it's like being in that place of being nurtured by the divine and trusting and having deep faith that no matter what happens, no matter how distant, and no matter who tries to jump in between, you are protected. You are in your power and in your control. When you say, I cannot control this person, I cannot control the other, I can't control the circumstance, but I can control my insecurities. I can build up my inner reserves by giving that love to myself. If somebody doesn't have energy or time and space to give me the attention that I was craving, I have time for me. And instead of paying attention and giving my energy to what doesn't have energy for me, the illusion of distance, I can take all that energy back into myself and say, how can I care for myself differently? How can I love myself better? How can I emerge into the world in a new way to look for soul harmonics with other individuals? Coming back into yourself. True north is each individual really saying, okay, there's all these circumstances, but this is where I'm going. This is pointing forward. So your relationship is also protected. Your endeavors are protected. So try your hardest to alleviate any illusion of suffering and reach deeply for the truth behind this, because things are working out. The universe is not punishing you. The universe is always conspiring for your highest and best good. So take care. Love you much, and we'll be back again tomorrow. And we'll do daily Dharma on Friday, as well as the quick sign-by-sign readings, all hopefully in one block. Sometimes that ends up being a 2-hour and some change reading, but each reading is between 5 and 15 minutes, depending on how many messages are coming through that day. So check those out, or go back and look at some others. And we may even, I think today I'll do an additional reading for the ancestral messages. So take care of yourselves, and we'll talk again real soon. Bye.